I would never buy
Brady Anderson, 400.
Mr.
Alvarado, the 200.
I just had a question.
and
What?
Ryland, the
Want me to sign it?
Yeah, if you would please, just for the record, thank you.
What's that?
Where is this?
East Peoria, East Side
Okay,
Center.
same place you always.
And Brady's, he's a 2, she's in the 200, but only by, you know.
I get about 30. And the weather, probably.
What's that?
There's good rain.
The what?
There's a lot of rain.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
You know, it's season 11 and the discus and Asher's. Season for about high. I mean, there's like 1 or 2 kids that are 5 days.
Okay, we have a motion to come out of closed session. And we have a second. Time is 6:39. All those in favor of coming out of closed session signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. We are back in open session. Next item is approval of the agenda. There is one change. Under new business, we're going to add letter B, high school computer lab, which will be a discussion item. So that will be Roman numeral 11, letter B, high school computer lab. Everything else then will move down 1. All right. I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended, please.
Second.
The first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our agenda for the evening is set. Moving on to Roman numeral 5, approval of previous minutes. The motion is that the Board of Education approves the minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting from April 25, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second. Any discussion, questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Consent agenda. We'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the district bills as of May 16th, 2022, building activity reports, the non-certified personnel recommendations, including the hiring of Jenna Weitz as registrar at Morrison High School. And we have no resignations at this time, so that's all of the consent agenda items.
So moved.
And first,
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, Luann, would you please take roll?
Abelson,
Yes.
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Danlock,
Yes.
Witt,
Yep.
Burns.
Yes.
All right. Communications and public comments. Mrs. Finley, your question?
Yeah, I just wondered if you, last time I had asked, you didn't know yet, or just said you weren't implementing it that year, last year, this year.
Mhm.
Do you know when the advanced sex ed is going to be implemented this year, or if we can?
We have no plans at this moment for it to be implemented for the 22-23 school year.
Okay.
If that changes, I will reach out to you personally and let you know that that change is made.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
No problem. Okay, good news for around the district, starting with Mr. Harridge.
I put it in there, but due to COVID, the kids haven't been able to really do much for field trips for 2 years, and then there were some transportation issues with one field trip that was planned, and I just thought it was pretty awesome that the community opened up their doors. The kids have gone to the bank, to the library, to the post office. They mailed, if you could have, the kindergarten teachers mailed the school some flip-flops. I think we've got, I'm trying to think, what we got, some fruit, we got Frisbee mailed to us, we got a whole bunch of different things. The kids got to do a lot of different things. So also a great thing for the first time in 2 years, 3 years. Kindergarten tomorrow is doing their fishing trip, so we finally get to go back to that too, so that'll be a blast.
I do enjoy that fishing. Mr. Castillo is absent tonight. Mr. Robbins.
If you haven't seen, we had our track sectional on this Friday. Most of them were Saturday, but ours was Friday. Sherrard hosted, but the timing company they used was only available on Friday. So had a good showing. We did have a 2.5 hour weather delay. So it was a late night. We left, the athletes left about 9:45 Friday morning, and if they were on the bus riding home to the end, didn't get back to about 11 o'clock Friday night. So But overall, everybody did good. Our seventh grade boys ended up in second place. Our eighth grade boys won the sectional. We advanced 8 athletes to state, which is this weekend on Friday and Saturday down at the Eastside Peoria Center. And we're looking pretty good. We've got 5 events that we are the number 1 seed in. So for it. So
Wow.
excited to see what this weekend brings, and hopefully they can all do well. So we'll have a send off for them. We're going to do it Thursday right at the end of the day. A lot of times we'll do it the morning they leave, but they're starting a little bit earlier this year, so the bus is going to have to take off about 7 a.m. Friday morning to get there in time for the parade of athletes and everything. So send off Thursday at 3 o'clock at the junior high for them. So congratulations to all our athletes and those who qualified for state.
And on a other note, if I don't mention this, I'll get yelled at. The girls understaffed, or undermanned, or other underperson did very well as well, especially the girls 8th grade 4x100 team, best time of the year.
Wow.
It's my car.
Oh,
Yep, they ended up with the 4th place. We had a few other 4th place finishes, and
oh,
It
man.
was a good showing.
the girls, we only had 1 thrower, but they chose not to continue that after the rain delay because they were worried about it dark. So the girls had to go back Saturday morning at 9 a.m. after spending all day there and all that. So they didn't have. I think 7th grade discus, only 9 out of 16 girls went back. So it was unfortunate that the weather happened, but.
Spring in Illinois.
so, yep.
Mr. Bealman, Morrison High School.
I have quite a bit of write-up in there already to touch on. Just that season of recognition and such at the high school. We had our honors night last week where a good number of students were recognized and awarded scholarships and whatnot. As such, I did not include that in there, all the names, but we have that out there and about to celebrate those. Sheepfield's Monsters, the school play, was held recently. I think it was a success. The kids seemed to enjoy that and was well attended. We have band and choir performance coming up, and kind of in the light of recognition, we plan to hold an assembly at the high school. Normally we'd have quarterly recognitions and so forth, but kind of with the way this year started and so forth, we've held out, and we're gathering all the students and going through the year and recognizing all of the many achievements and so forth that these students and such have accumulated over the past year. So it's been quite a year in that regard. So it's nice celebrating.
Thank you, guys. Moving on to reports, finance and facility, it's located in your board packet. Some facility notes. You may have noticed that roof work is taking place at Morrison High School. That should be done in the next week or so. They will begin work on the track. I think they're starting to unload supplies this week. I'm still waiting to hear back on our HVAC project for the junior high and Northside, as well as taking suggestions for some cosmetic or other quick fixes, if you will, for the district for summer projects.
I wanted to ask in regards to Northside, their gym floor. Is there any discussion about that floor?
So the problem with the gym floor is it's asbestos tile, so if you're going to take it out, you're adding considerable money to it. You can go over top of it, you just can't glue it down. Because if you glue it down, then the chances that it'll come up. So there are some options, we can look into that. It would be more of a, what do they call that, sport court stuff? Tile stuff that you, interlocking tile, that's possibly, yeah, it's ugly. Is that something that we would like to add, the board would like to see added to a list of potential projects?
I think it'd be,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would,
Okay.
really, I would.
That's fine.
Okay.
That Jim
Talk
needs
to
do
the,
those.
yeah, to the,
And it's not even just when I think
Yeah,
of
because
cosmetic, I mean, it really needs to, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it was painted 3 years ago? You weren't here, were you? I know he had Veronic Painting come in and they did a really nice job painting it, but that floor hasn't been touched in a while. So I can look for possible suggestions on how to do that without having to do an asbestos abatement, which is
Right, costly.
costly and nasty and get into all kinds of issues with that, so. Okay.
One question.
Sure.
With the junior high HVAC, there's discussion about using the ESSER funds for that. Are we still in line?
It's still potentially on the table, but I have gotten nothing from the architect on the conversations that you and I had had about potential costs. I can circle back with him and see where he's at with that, but it's not in the latest draft of the grant. I can always add it back in.
Okay, yeah. if they can use it, that'd be great.
Okay, enrollment is steady at 977 students, same as last month. We are still 5 students ahead of where we were at this time last year. Mr. Schaefer, do you want to just talk about technology stuff with your items, or?
Well, I just want to bring up one thing. So our internet provider offers a free annual vulnerability scan and penetration test, just to see how easy it is to get inside our network from the outside. Normally those cost thousands of dollars, so they do it for free, and I'm happy to report that they were unable to get into our network from the outside to any of our more important systems, so I was pretty pleased with those results. So that happened a couple of weeks ago.
Good.
All right, thank you, Dan. Okay, I'm looking something up. Where am I at? I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought here. Old business. Item A, Southside grading policy. The motion is the Board of Education approves the revised grading policy at Southside Elementary as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Item B, K-5 math curriculum. The motion is the Board of Education approves the adoption of the Big Ideas math curriculum for Northside and Southside Elementary.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion?
And we have discussed this before, so I.
We discussed last week.
Yeah, I just want to say that because people,
Oh.
why aren't you discussing it? Well, we did discuss this already.
I should say any further discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C, District Improvement Plan. Motion is the Board of Education approves the 2022 to 25 District Improvement Plan as presented.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second. Any further discussion from carried over from last month? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item D, this is an old business item. High school bell and paging system. Is it fair to say that the current system is original to the building?
Yes.
Is it? So we
According
have
to
a
the,
very old, very outdated bell and paging system. By paging system, we mean intercom. One of the concerns that has been brought up is the potential danger of not being able to hear announcements or hear things in certain parts of the building. Those of you that have graduated from Morrison High School, specifically in the library, you don't hear the bells. So we've been looking for the last 12, 14 months for costs for bell and paging systems. Mr. Schaefer has done all the legwork on this. You have a couple different proposals in the board packet. Dwayne, do you want to go over the differences between them?
Yeah, there's in total, there's 2 different types of proposals with 4 different options. You have one proposal for intercom and clocks together, and you have another proposal for intercom only.
Bless you.
There are 2 different bids for each of those because one would involve the company, which is KCOM, to install all the speakers and the clocks and those things. And the other one is us installing all those things to save some money. My department and I are already going to install all the new cabling for all the units, no matter what, which is going to save the district an estimated $5,000 in labor costs and materials. So the other proposals we have, so that's KCOM. The other two proposals we have, one is from Audio Enhancement, and the other one is from Front Row. The reason that you see such a significant cost difference, so you've got two $200,000 proposals, and actually Audio Enhancement late Friday came in with a $155,000 proposal, so they knocked 50 grand off. And KCOM, which at most is 86,000. So Audio Enhancement in particular is a sort of a whole classroom sound immersion. So their philosophy is that, you know, audio is one of the most important parts of education, being able to hear what's going on. So when they install an audio system in the classroom, they install enough speakers to be heard throughout the entire classroom. Every teacher gets a microphone around their neck, and they wear that around all day, because it's kind of like their personal thing they wear all day, and it's always on while they're in the classroom, so they can always be heard no matter where you are in the classroom. It also has some other features like a panic button and other things like that, but
Now, who is that?
that's Audio Enhancement.
The first one is the more expensive one.
Yeah, so in essence, if we were looking for an approach like that, there's no question that would be the company I would choose. And this similar to Front Row doesn't have as many features and bells and whistles, but it's, again, that whole classroom audio experience. Whereas Valcom is the system that KCOM provides. I don't know why they chose KCOM and Valcom, because anyway, that's the system they provide. I actually did a demo with them today. They have the capability of doing some of those other things, but their primary focus is just safety, paging, intercom, and safety. They just want classrooms and buildings to be safe and secure, and everybody can hear what's going on in an emergency situation. They have a lot of other add-on features that I don't think we need at this time, but if I were going to choose a system today, I would definitely recommend the Valcom system from the KCOM company. You know, we're certainly willing to do the installation of the speakers and the clocks, but that said, I'm not familiar with those products at all, and you know, for additional $9,000, you know, on an $86,000 project, we can have them install it, and I feel more secure in knowing that the professionals took care of that equipment versus myself. Like I said, we're doing all the cabling, which we do cabling all the time, so I'm more than comfortable doing that. But as far as their equipment, you know, it makes more sense really to have them do it.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense, actually.
The other thing, and I mentioned this to Mr. Vance, I know this is a discussion item. However, there's a 6 to 8 week lead time on the parts, the materials. So, you know, if there's any way we can get some sort of a tentative approval on something today, I can send them a PO number and they can start ordering and getting things in. And hopefully, I can't guarantee it, but the hope would be that we might be able to get this done before school starts, or at least very shortly thereafter.
Do we have a plan if we didn't get it done?
Well, the current intercom is still functioning.
Okay.
If for some reason that goes out in the meantime, the manufacturer or the installers that came last week from KCOM, he spent 15 years working on the exact model that we have. And he's more than willing to come up and take a look and loan us a part, you know, whatever we need if we have any issues in the meantime. You know, we're close to summer, so there's no need to have it over the summer. But obviously if we get around to the fall and we're still struggling with it, he's more than willing to come and help us, you know, band-aid it until the new system gets installed. And we're not going to destruct anything on the old system until the new system's up and running. They're two completely different types of systems, so there's no need to take anything apart until we have the new thing up and running. So
Is the cheaper KCOM option enough for what the building needs to fix it and make it safe?
What do you mean by which cheaper one?
Well, for the $86,000
Yeah.
versus the 150 or the 200,000, would the cheaper option do what you need?
Absolutely.
Correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. What we're looking for is like Mr. Vance said, we are trying to get PA to every part of the building that needs it. Currently, the hallways don't have speakers. So this adds speakers to the hallways, this puts new speakers in the gym. We are putting speakers outside. So there's every conceivable area that needs to have a public address system is going to have it.
Like the lunchroom?
That's going to provide it, absolutely. Yeah, everything's going to happen as it needs it. So yeah, that will provide everything that the high school building needs to be able to address and get messages out to every room in the building that needs it.
Is it built-in intercom too, or did you discuss that already?
Yeah, so every classroom will have a two-way speaker. So even though we have phones in every classroom already, the office will still be able to call an individual room and talk back with the person over just the speaker in the room.
I like that. I
And
think
that
that's-
includes
yeah.
the gymnasium as well,
Yeah.
and the pool. The other thing that I do like about this company, when I talk about expanding, it expands very well over a network. So if we chose to outfit the other buildings with the same system, they would all talk to each other and work together.
Wow.
There's also optional features like an emergency call button we can add to classrooms or different areas. Those are all things that we can add at any time. So if we want to expand on the features that they offer, we can discuss those things and put those in at any time.
With the size of like the library, the pool, the gym, are there multiple intercom pieces?
Yeah, so the gym gets two, one on each corner. The library currently has 8 speakers. There is no reason it needs to have 8 speakers. The librarian even says that she has to put in, like, plug her ears when the announcements are going on because it's so loud in there. So we're just gonna do 4 in the corners.
And the audio volume, I'm guessing adjustable in the new
In the
units?
new system, it'll be adjustable too, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that this allows us to do by adding the clocks, well, even without the clocks, but the clocks really help with this, is we can now create a scheduled out bell schedule. So we no longer have to figure out how to turn on and open up the lockbox in the one that's currently in the office. Ms. Kabilama or whoever's in the office can completely schedule out the entire school year and even the early outs, and it all runs on a timer. One thing that came up earlier last week was having a 10-minute bell or 8-minute bell for PE class or for the shop class to know when they need to go to the locker room or start cleaning up. We can isolate individual zones, like individual rooms, and say I want a bell to ring in this room at 8:47, 10 minutes before the 8:57 bell rings, so that they know to go in and change. So we have full control over things like that even.
That'd be a Rock Falls person. We had that in Rock.
We had that in my eyes over here. So. Yeah, we'll have a lot more easy control over the entire system. It's all controllable through a web interface. So it'll be, and it ties into our phone system as well. So we can use our phones as intercom, as a microphone.
Is it the recommendation then to go with the KCOM?
Yeah, it's my recommendation to go with that.
Is there any concern or any, so we,
What is this, what's the big feature that sells you on that over the bike speed?
Oh, you mean over the other audio enhancement or front
Yeah.
row? Well, number one, the KCOM's based out of Peoria, so they're only an hour or so away. So if something happens, they're here.
Okay.
I've talked to the tech director at Polo Schools. They had a few bugs with the system, but I think it was only because they were tying in a newer system with an older analog system, which can cause some problems. But overall, they're pretty happy with it, and he had a pretty glowing review about their customer service overall. So for me, just in my field and what I do, that's a big thing for me is the customer service. That's like a very close second to the product itself. So knowing that they can get here pretty quickly if something goes wrong, that's a big sell. Whereas audio enhancement, they're going to contract out to the lowest bidder just to install all the equipment. Now, not that that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, everybody kind of does that, right? But I feel more confident knowing that they're close by.
I think the six-figure proposals are fantastic. I would hate to spend six figures and not have all of those features utilized. So I think my recommendation, along with Mr. Schaefer's, would be is that as long as it's meeting all of our needs, the K-COM proposal is the way to go. And if there's no strong concern, is the board okay with me approving the PO and then formally approving it at the next meeting?
Yep.
I support that.
Absolutely.
They will, I'll give them a call. They will come back and do one final walkthrough and make sure that everything is ordered that needs to be ordered.
Okay.
So if any changes, I'll let Mr. Vance know.
Sure.
We'll approve the final
Yep.
purchase order for the total cost.
Okay.
All right, moving on to new business. Item A, high school ELA staffing. In the ESSER grant, we did allocate funds to add a fourth ELA teacher. We went several months without any applicants. As I mentioned in an email to the board, we now have 2 applicants. Putting that on your radar, that if everything works out, we're hoping to add another section or another English teacher for the 22-23 school year. That will come before you for formal approval. Again, some things have to fall into place. We have to work out some things with the schedule, finalize that. We're adequately using the staff we have. But if all of that works out, I will be bringing you a motion to approve hopefully another ELA teacher for the next school year. All right, moving on to item B, which is our high school computer lab. This is the addition. And Mr. Schaefer and I will tag team this one. 11 years ago, we invested heavily in technology. We purchased iPads for a lot of the classrooms in our district. And one of the other purchases we made was a 30-unit Mac lab at the high school. That is now becoming quickly outdated, and the discussion is where do we go from that? If you know anything about computers, purchasing 30 new Macs is probably a little bit more than what we paid for it back in 2011. There is some cost to it. There's a quote in there for, I believe, $38,000 and change. Dwayne, do you want to talk about the differences between where we're at now and where we're going?
Yeah.
Potentially going, I should say, because it still needs to be approved by the board.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is aside from costs, because I'll be honest with you, with the way parts and components are now, the cost differences between a Mac and a PC is not as extreme as it used to be. We have a few classes that utilize that lab still, mainly graphic arts, which is a big one as far as what it needs to function properly. So you can't just buy a laptop, $800 laptop, or a $600 desktop to do the 3D rendering work that needs to be done. So this company in particular builds their own machines. They source their own parts. They offer a 5-year warranty for every machine that they put out there. And the reason we chose this model was kind of twofold. First of all, it's pretty future-proofed. The technology, while technology advances all the time, there's no reason that anything on this machine will need to be replaced within 5 to 6 years. Not only quality-wise, but just the state of things are now. So it'll work perfectly for graphics programs. It would work perfectly for any multimedia programs. If we bring back web design class, which is something that I know that they discussed bringing back, it would fit in perfectly with that. PCs tend to be far more versatile. than Macs do. Macs are pretty specific on what you can and can't do. So I like the versatility of PCs. I also don't like Macs, so so for me to be able to work on the computer if something goes wrong is much easier on a PC than it is on a Mac. I don't have to Google it if it's on a PC, but I do if it's on a Mac. So that helps my department out in terms of troubleshooting. For
Adding
sure.
that to your job description. by the way.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. But so the other thing that we did is we did pare down the size of the lab. So we went from, originally it was 31 computers in total. There was 30 students and 1 teacher. So we're actually paring it down to 15 computers. The reason you see 19 there is because we'll add a teacher computer, and then my department has not gotten a new machine in about 5 or 6 years, so we're the last to replace our computers. Everybody else has gotten some, so I think ours are kind of getting old and getting ready to be replaced, and I trust using this as my daily work computer as well. So so we're going to replace our computers with one of these each. And then we went with a more powerful, better monitor, mainly because for the graphics work that they need to do, they've got to be able to see it and without any pixelating, without any blurriness. We field tested a couple other monitors and they didn't work well. So this was the latest one that we chose, and it was approved by the teacher who runs the graphics program, and it definitely looks good. And it's a 27-inch monitor, so it's a much bigger screen, better field of view overall. And we're going to order 5 extra monitors because we felt that if for some reason the class size ever exceeded 15, we have enough between our current computers and a few of our esports computers that we have. We could put together a machine that would be capable of handling some of those graphics programs and things. So we'd be able to expand the lab by up to 5 computers with what we have in stock right now. So there's no need to purchase all of those all at once.
And Mr. Schaefer got 15 from going back to previous enrollments.
Okay.
Yeah, I went back 5 years and to determine what the biggest enrollments were for classes that utilized that lab, and 15 was the top end over the last 5 years. So
What size is the class now? How many's in this year's class?
I think there were 15 in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what it was if I remember right.
So there's,
Do we sell, like, I know the other computers are old, but do we ever like sell that old equipment, get money back for it? to
Absolutely.
offset it?
Our plan would be to completely restore these Macs from factory settings and sell those. Yeah.
And I need to ask this question, and I'm sure that you looked into it, but there are no technology grants available?
Well, there are, but the problem with most of those are, especially the E-rate, what is it? There's a specific name for it. There's an E-rate grant. They have to be for home use. So a lot of the grants that are now, emergency connectivity broadband grant is what it is.
Keeping in mind this is the first year some kids have been back to school.
Yeah.
I know.
So there's still a big push for that home stuff.
So some districts are using those funds to buy like Chromebooks and things like that, but there's some pretty shady language that they're using to sell it, and I don't feel like, in my opinion, I don't trust trying to come up with shady language to justify buying Chromebooks when I know they're being used primarily at school. When the grant specifically says these are for home use for families that need the device at home. So I wouldn't want to go that route for these.
No, I appreciate that.
you don't think there's a cheaper option where you use a more powerful laptop that can be taken home and still purchase the monitors so the kids can use the high-res monitors with a laptop?
Personally, no. I would never trust a laptop to do that kind of work, mainly because they're built so tightly and compartmentalized. You have a lot of heat generated. We're going to replace that every 3 years. Where this desktop is going to last 5 to 10 years. So I wouldn't trust doing that. It would be cheaper in the short term, but far more expensive in the long term, possibly. Yeah.
My only question is purchasing 5 extra monitors now as a contingency may be used. Are we really saving anything by doing that?
I think so, because I think we'll initially go ahead and put those computers in there anyway, so they'll be ready to go.
But even if they're put in there and ready to go, if they're not being utilized,
Well, I mean, there's no guarantee that all 15 computers are gonna be used either, so, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'd rather have them now because than not have them later when they're needed, personally, but,
could we order similar equivalents
Probably could.
at that time?
yeah, we probably could. Yeah.
That's my whole concern. I don't know.
How
No,
much
I-
are the monitors
that makes
actually
sense.
costing?
Those
Monitors
monitors
are
$385.
$9,240.
Yeah, they're $385 a piece.
The 5 of them are like $2,000.
But you could also order one
That's true.
or two.
For $385.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm at.
I
I mean,
understand.
do you
order one
think,
then.
would cost go up at all? Does cost fluctuate on that kind of stuff?
Do you
I mean,
full
yeah,
price?
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard, right, in today's environment,
I
it's hard to
know,
know
it's-
what's,
True.
they could go up, they could go down.
Do
I
you
don't
get,
know.
do you get a better rate because of what you're ordering though?
I get a better rate because it's for a government agency,
Yeah.
we're considered a government agency, so I do get a better rate because of that.
So you're gonna get a better rate regardless if you order it now or later, right? I'm talking
Yeah,
about-
we don't pay sales tax either, so,
Okay, all right.
you know, but it depends, if I order, it might be cheaper to order 5 monitors through Amazon 5 years from now, I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
You know, it's hard to predict what that environment's gonna look like.
Okay. Item C, FY '22 amended budget. We annually amend our budget. We pass it in September and then we amend it in June. Preliminary amended budget looks very, very good. We are looking at a deficit in the, I can't believe I'm saying this. A deficit of $173,000 in the ed fund, $167,000 in operations and maintenance, $61,000 in IMRF. And you can disregard capital projects because that's bond money that we've already got. So revenue expenditures this year are outpacing revenue because we've already got the revenue, if that makes sense. So for comparison's sake, our preliminary budget, we had a deficit in the ed fund of $504,000. So we've been able to trim that down. Our deficit in operations and maintenance was $124,000, and our deficit in IMRF and Social Security was $64,000. So we're slightly over budget projections in IMRF and operations and maintenance, but if you remember, we did have to transfer money from working cash to O&M, or to make that, and that's just, our buildings are getting older, they're more costly, and the money we receive from the state and our tax levy just doesn't cut it. This could change slightly, but we will approve it next month, because I have to have it filed by June 30th. Just like to tell, again, public thank you to Kyla, she does a really, really good job on this, and has saved us a lot of money, so appreciate her work on this. Any questions? Again, this is subject to change. I wouldn't imagine a drastic change unless, I don't even want to say it. But for the most part, it should probably stay the same. Item D, Morrison High School varsity basketball coach. This is an action item. The motion is that the Board of Education approves the hiring of Mark Ernst as the Morrison High School varsity boys basketball coach for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
second.
For the first and the second, discussion.
Who's Mark?
He's a junior high social studies teacher. He's the sophomore coach.
Oh, okay. That's where we came from. Okay.
He was my junior high basketball coach.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Any other, just curiosity, any other
We had
applicants?
2 applicants.
Okay.
Interviewed 2.
All right.
Any other discussion? Do a roll call vote on this, please, Glenn.
Good.
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Eagleson,
Yes.
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Stamhoff.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item E, Morrison High School varsity volleyball coach. The motion is the Board of Education approves the hiring of Chelsea Eads as the Morrison High School varsity volleyball coach for the 2022-2020 school year.
So moved.
Second.
So first and second, any discussion?
Same question, how many applicants do we have?
2.
Good.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, Luann, would you please take roll?
Helms,
Yes.
Stevenson,
Yes.
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Stanhoff,
Yes.
Witt.
Yep.
Item F, certified staffing action. We will have to take these one at a time because they will require roll call votes. The motion is that the Board of Education approves the resignation of Heather Gakey as a certified teacher at Southside Elementary effective June 1st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please take roll. Or no, let's do, we can do, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. All right, we'll do the rest of the roll. The motion is that the Board of Education approves the hiring of Christine Dobbs as a certified elementary teacher at Southside Elementary for the 2022-23 school year at the bachelor's year 10 step.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Mrs. Dobbs has more than 10 years, but by contract, she can only bring 10 years in. That's why she's at that level.
And where's she coming from?
She's currently working in Rock Falls, but she's from the area originally, but she's been working out of state for most of her career. But is back in the area working in the educational system. All right, no further discussion. Luann, would you please take roll?
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Stanhoff,
Yes.
Witt,
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. And I apologize if I butcher this name. The motion is the Board of Education approves the hiring of Kelsey Pudlis as a certified music teacher at Morrison High School and Morrison Junior High School for the 22-23 school year at the bachelor's year 3 step.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Okay, hearing none. Luann, would you please take a roll call vote?
Wilkins,
Yes.
Stanhoff,
Yes.
Witt,
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Lucky.
Yes.
Motion carries. Motion is the Board of Education approves the hiring of Tasia Robinson as a certified school counselor at Southside Elementary for the 22-23 school year. And this is incorrect, I'm sorry. It should be Master's 16, year 5 step, not 32.
I thought, wow.
Hey, I thought that too.
Wishful thinking on probably her part, but no, it's actually Master's 16,
Sure.
year 5 step.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Where did she come from?
She's brand new, she's finishing up, but she lives in Bettendorf. Or
Oh.
I probably can't say that loud, but she's from the Quad Cities area.
Okay.
Very excited to have a counselor at Southside.
Yes.
Just sweating it out. Okay, hearing no further discussion, Luann, roll call vote, please.
Stanhoff,
Yes.
Witt,
Yep.
Helms,
Yes.
Stevenson,
Yes.
Lucky,
Yes.
Wilkins.
Yes.
And we are tabling item G for now. Okay, I will now motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Anyone, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.